I suppose this is one way to get your point across. After disabling and removing one of our naval assets from the theater, we take it to the next level. I think these two B-1Bs are a statement. They are the U.S. saying, no matter what you do, we're going to be there, and we're going to see what you're doing, and we're going to keep track of it. There isn't a Chinese plane or a Russian plane that has a prayer of intercepting a B-1B. They fly too high, they fly too fast. By the time you see them, they're gone. So we are going to continue over there, monitoring what's going on. The U.S. isn't going to be deterred by the open and brazen attack on one of its warships that's being played down as an accident. I think the channel has done all we can do to demonstrate that this was an attack. That this ship probably was hit twice, initially by an anti-ship missile that the North Koreans were testing just the week prior. Why would the North Koreans test anti-ship missiles if they didn't have a desire to use them? It would explain a great deal, the difference in the timing, the 130 versus the 220. Hit by a missile at 130 and then rammed by a ship at 220. The track, now we can see, is clearly not the ACX crystal, based on the last video we did. But there's some disturbing developments. This little blurb came out. It was supposedly a mistake, but this was the 6th of July, and the Japanese were in joint drills with the United States and accidentally issued a missile launch warning. I think that's a good insight as to what the drill was for. That they were planning on a launch by North Korea against the mainland of Japan, because they warned the ships in the area in the South China Sea, East China Sea, Sea of Japan, that a missile had been launched and to be aware for it. But probably the most disturbing, to my mind, statement was made by both General Mattis and the current president. I don't know how this launch doesn't get us closer to war. I mean, when you have an enemy that is clearly said, our desire is to launch a missile toward your mainland and kill your civilians, and then they do such, I really don't know how that doesn't move you one step closer to war. And in this article, there was a couple of quotes. The big one, of course, General Mattis, I don't believe this capability in itself brings us closer to war. Well, maybe not in itself, but you couple that with the threats. You couple that with the complete unwillingness of the Chinese to do a thing about it. They've done more to intercept our warships in the area conducting freedom of navigation operations than they've done to hinder North Korea in its pursuit of a weapon to kill our civilians. And that's what it's for. And I do honestly now believe that that's exactly what the USS Fitzgerald was doing. There's been so many people come here, Navy people, that have said this looks like the Fitzgerald was setting dead in the water. Could very well have been. You know, there's others that have come said the ideal way to be able to intercept a missile is if the ship was stationary. And that makes sense because you have to have, you know, a point of reference, an exact point of reference if you're going to intercept a missile. You have to know where you are. And if where you are is changing second to second to second because you're moving, that's just going to make the computer calculation for the intercept even harder. You know, my guess is it was sitting there and it was completely stationary, that this test they knew about was in the works. They didn't know what day it was, and they got made. They got made. That cargo ship, probably at some distance afar off, launched an anti-ship missile, hit it, and when it didn't sink, they took a second shot at it, and it still didn't sink, and so they had to go to Plan C and say it was an accident. It was their only way out of it. It would explain why the crew wasn't able to see it coming, because honestly, if you get hit by a missile, more than likely your sentries aren't going to be on lookout for ship collisions. And that would make sense for all of the evidence we have in front of us. But the final thing that really bothers me is this. I don't draw red lines. Now I want to ask my audience, what do you think that means? I don't draw red lines. You mean there is no behavior that, regardless of situation or circumstance, that is now beyond toleration? I mean, what would you believe would be the bridge too far? What line would be crossed according to the current administration? There is no line that can't be crossed. Basically saying, in effect, that I don't say that if you do this, we will do that. So does a statement like this make you feel safer or less safe? Does a statement like this make you feel like you have someone in charge who has your best interest in mind? And I don't want the channel to get into a political discussion here, but we have people out there, we have enemies that want to do us harm. The North Koreans are very open about it. I think the Chinese are much more cryptic about it. The Russians, who knows? 1 minute, people are alleging that they're on our side. The next minute, we're shooting down their jets. And then we have $1 billion destroyer knocked out of the theater, and this cock and bull story about some kind of an accident where they want to lay blame on our crew, our Navy crew, those 7 dead sailors included. I don't know, but the Rockwell B-1B Lancer, great read if you want to check this out here on Wiki. It definitely has a huge electronics warfare suite. Another place you want to go might be the EA-6B Prowler, which is another, it's an F-15 variant that has the ability to do what that Sukhoi did, that Sukhoi Su-24 did to the USS Donald Cook in the Black Sea. So this is the new war. This is how it's going to begin. It's going to be done behind closed doors and with electronics and with this game of cat and mouse over in Asia. So thank you so much for the support, everyone. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.